Hello to everyone out there in YouTube world. It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon, and I am about to also go live on my Instagram page. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can find me at the Renaissance _ Amazon _ 81. Let me go on my Instagram right now. Oh. Oops, sorry, hold on. Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you do. Oh, okay. Okay, now I'm on Instagram. Hello to everybody on Instagram. It's Makeda Valletta. If you don't follow me on YouTube, make sure you follow me on YouTube at the Renaissance Amazon. Okie dokie. So this has been on my mind a lot, especially in the past couple days, but just in general. And so today, I just want to talk about thinking before you speak, right? And respecting people's boundaries, being empathetic and respecting boundaries. I think that a lot of people are they say things that they're programmed to say. And people have seen me talk a lot about religion and the fact that I was raised without it, and it does make a difference because I feel like religion programs your brain, and even people I know who grew up religious who walk away from it, a lot of times are still affected by it in a lot of ways, and the things that they say and do. So one thing that I find to be really annoying, and it's like, people aren't trying to be offensive, right? But it can still be offensive. So for example, like if something, like when people die, right? When people die, a lot of people will say things, and this definitely comes from religion. This is definitely some church shit. I don't know if Jews say this. I don't know if say this, right? But I do know that Christians say this, and this is definitely some that, like, when people die, a lot of times people will say, oh, it must have been their time, right? Which I think is idiotic. I don't think that just because somebody died, it was their time. Even in the case of Nipsey Hussle, I feel like in that situation, I don't feel like it was his time. Same thing with Aaliyah. There are people who I feel like died before they were supposed to. I don't feel like religion teaches you that God is in control of everything, I don't believe that. I think that the universe is way too complex for that shit, right? There's a lot more forces at work than that. If you study, like people who know anything about African spiritual traditions or indigenous spiritual traditions, they know better than that, okay? That's why they do ceremonies. That's why they do things for protection. That's why, they know that spells exist. They know that people can send negative energy to you and fuck up your shit. That shit is real, okay? It's real, whether you believe it or not. And that's why I think a lot of Africans even don't want to deal with their own religious traditions. Like you see a lot of African spiritual traditions in the Americas that are flourishing in Cuba, Brazil, even United States, in Brooklyn, and there's a lot of Africans who don't want anything to do with that. Most of the Africans I know who grew up in Africa, they grew up very Christian, very Muslim, and they don't want to see no African shrines for no deities and none of that. They almost act like it's evil. But deep down, they know that it's real. And if something really bad happens, they get a course of bad luck, or horrible stuff is happening, they will go to a witch doctor. They will go to an African priest to have readings or to get protection, right? And I had a video where I talked about, one of the videos I talked about with Nipsey Hussle, and there's another video I spoke about where I was speaking about readings, and when I was speaking about readings, and it's interesting because I keep bringing up Nipsey Hussle because I just find it, for some reason, that situation really kind of pulled me in, and like I said, there was a lot of readers on YouTube who were doing readings on him, who didn't even really know who he was. And one thing that a lot of them said was that he did not have protection at the moment. He did not have spiritual protection. He should have had spiritual protection, because if he had spiritual protection, that would not have happened. The unseen world is real, whether you believe it or not. Just like you might not believe that a brick can hurt you if it hits you in the head, but if somebody throws a brick at your head and it hits you, that shit's gonna bust your head open. Okay, that's just a fact, whether you believe it or not. So the unseen world that's also the case. Okay. And there are things that we can do to protect ourselves. Just like in the physical realm, there are things that we can do to protect ourselves. Like there are people who just drive reckless and they're like, well, I never got into an accident or whatever, but there's things you can do when you're driving to increase your chances of getting fucked up. Like driving drunk, like not having on a seatbelt, like driving behind a truck, driving next to a truck, cutting people off with no turning signals. There are things you can do to increase your chances of getting fucked up, okay? That doesn't mean that you can't still get fucked up if you follow all the rules. But if you follow all the safety rules, you'll decrease your chances of getting fucked up, okay? There's no guarantees in life, but there are things you can do to protect yourself. Just like if you take care of yourself. For those of you who know me, I am a trainer and I'm a nutritionist. And taking care of my body and my health is my everything. Because I want to age gracefully. A lot of people say, oh, you're going to die anyway, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're going to die anyway, but do you want to live the last 30 years of your life where your body doesn't function, where you can't walk, where your dick doesn't work, you can't have sex, your uterus is falling out your body, you're in agonizing pain? Do you want to live the last 30, 40, 10, 5 years of your life that way? Or do you want to be functional and feel good and be able to do things? For me, when I was 18 years old, I made the decision. I was in a senior citizens home that my mom had put my aunt in Harlem. And I remember being in there, and it was so depressing to see all these people sitting around, hanging out the chair, all fucked up. And I said to myself at 18, I do not want to age that way. So at 18, I promised myself to do all that I could to take care of myself, to make sure that I age gracefully. That's a priority to me, okay? So the thing is that people will say things like, if a woman loses a baby, for example, there are people who, and they're not trying to be hurtful, but people need to think before they speak. I mean, it's important to shapeshift, okay? Shape-shifting means being able to put yourself in somebody else's situation and not just saying the shit that you were trained to say. So if someone loses a baby and you say, oh, it's okay, you can always have another one. Nothing is promised in life, There are women who've lost, had 5, 6, 7 miscarriages and never had a baby. And, or something, you never know what might happen next year that could prevent you. You might get in an accident that fucks up your womb, and then you can't have a baby, So nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that, okay? If your child gets hit by a car and murdered in front of you, do you think that parent wants to hear, oh, must have been her time, now God has her, and she's with the angels? I don't think a parent wants to hear that if they see their child get murdered in front of them. That's not the right thing to fucking say. It's not. Sometimes people just need to either say, I hope things get better, or just fall back and be supportive in any way they can. But telling somebody something like that is just not the right thing to say at that moment, okay? And a lot of people say that because that's what they're trained to say, okay? Oh, you got to trust in God. God has a plan for you. Like I said, I wasn't raised with that religious shit, so maybe some of you think that's okay, but maybe you can keep that amongst your religious friends. But that's not always the best thing, because especially when you don't know somebody's life, I know for me and for a lot of people, there's a lot of people that deal with shit that they don't share with people, and they have to keep on going. They have to keep on pressing. Like they have no choice, because they may have kids to feed, or they have to feed themselves, And so they may be going through some shit, but they don't have time to cry about it or whine about it, and they may not even show it to you, right? Okay, so everybody has their breaking point. There are people who smile every day and seem so happy, and then they kill themselves. And you wonder, what the fuck, what was wrong? What was wrong with him? He always seemed so happy, and then he just jumped off the fucking roof or something. Like you don't always know what people are dealing with. And oh, hold on a second. Yeah. And so I know for me, life has taught me a lot, and there are harsh realities in life. And there is a such thing as good luck, and there is a such thing as bad luck. There are people who do have bad luck, and there are people who do have good luck. Some people say they don't believe in luck. Again, speak to an African. The one thing I love about African proverbs, the one thing I love about them is that they're very real, okay? Like African proverbs will say things like, if you go in the rain without an umbrella, you're gonna get wet. Basic common sense, right? And people have talismans that they wear, One reason why I wear jewelry, yeah, it looks nice, but it's also protection, We can't do anything about the energy that people send to us, because people can send fucked up energy your way, and it can fuck you up. Some people have been fortunate enough to maybe live through life and not have had that happen. But there are others that might have generational curses. Somebody might have, put something on their mother or their father, and it's affecting future generations. So some people's bad luck could be from generational shit. It could be from this current life. It could be from past life stuff. Okay, and I don't know if Christians and Jews and other religious people believe that, but this is considered factual and indigenous cosmology. And like to tell somebody, I'm trying to get my thoughts straight to make sure I say everything I want to say. I know for me, like when somebody asks, like, how are you doing, right? People are so used to people saying, oh, I'm fine. And a lot of people will say that even if they're not fine. But if somebody says that they're not fine, and people are like, or like I know with me, I'm going to use myself as an example. I deal with a lot. I deal with a lot all the time. Okay. I deal with a lot that I don't talk about. I deal with a lot, that only people who really know me know about. Okay. Like my true, really, really close friends, they know my story. This is why I don't really like meeting new people. Because people, instead of being quiet and listening, they think they know you. They pass judgment. And they may not have any idea of the sum total of shit that you've gone through in your life. And all the things that you may have done. Like some people are working really, really hard. And no matter what they do, it's roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And everybody has their breaking point where they're like, I just can't take this shit anymore. And people can get super stressed. And people get on anti-anxiety medication, okay? So if somebody is telling you they feel that way, if somebody is telling you they feel like they are about to have an anxiety attack, they are fighting depression, or anything like that, you, okay, should not say to the person, oh, don't be depressed. If it were that easy, and the person wouldn't be it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just say, oh, don't be depressed, don't be stressed. Don't be stressed. Are you going to do something? Are you going to fix my problems? If you want to tell me don't be stressed, then fix my problems. If you can't fix the shit, then don't tell me that shit. Okay? Like, to me, I feel like that's inconsiderate. If somebody told me, if I ask somebody how they're doing and they tell me that they are super stressed, they can't think, they can't eat, or, whatever is going on, there's a lot of people who lose everything because of medical bills. There are people who can't afford to get medical care because, and they need important medical care. Actually, I don't even want to tell this story because this is not my story to tell, but I don't know. Hopefully, maybe she'll tell it herself. I just know that the person who painted Michelle Obama's portrait, the artist who painted her portrait had a weak heart. She needed, was it her heart? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was her heart. She needed a heart transplant, and she couldn't afford it. Okay, and her brother had passed away because he got lung cancer. He never smoked a day in his life, but he got lung cancer and died. Okay, she needed a heart transplant, and the only way that she was able to get that heart transplant is because of Obamacare. And then guess what? She ended up painting Michelle Obama's portrait, and now is making a lot of money and is a big star. But like, that shit is real. There are people who die every day because they can't afford the correct medical care. And to say to somebody like that, oh, don't be stressed. I mean, we all, it's important to have ways to try to, transform energy. I know for me, I definitely have a lot of things that I do. And when I talk about dancing, and I talk about how dancing helps me to not be stressed, and I say that all the time. And, I might be dancing my bikinis, and a lot of you might like it for entertainment purposes, which is absolutely fine. It's fine if you find it entertaining. It's fine if you get turned on by it, right? But a lot of times, my reason for dancing is to stay sane, okay? Because when it is true, and then when you shake your body and gyrate your body, it helps to reset your energy fields. When I'm focused on dance, especially, like going out dancing is cool, but when I go to dance class, I talk about how much I've learned from doing Haitian folkloric dance, all that stuff. The movements themselves have healing properties, but also when I'm in a Haitian dance class and my mind is so focused on my footwork and what my hips are doing, what my shoulders are doing, I'm so much in my body and so focused on what I'm doing that I don't even have time to think about my problems. So it can take my mind off my problems, right? And then while I'm shaking and gyrating and doing all these things, and it's getting my blood moving, and it's like shaking up energy, it helps to transform energy. So a lot of times I feel better, even though I might be going through some shit. Dancing keeps me sane, okay? That's why I will always be dancing. That's why I went out dancing last night, even though yesterday I really was, I'm not the kind of person to like kill myself or anything like that. But, my life has been a lot more rough than a lot of people know. The people who are really close to me, and the thing is, like, I have really good friends who I've known for 10 plus years who know me well. They know all the things that I've been through, things that I don't share with the general public and things that maybe one day I will share, one day I'll put it in a book because people keep telling me I need to write these things in a book. And there's a lot of things that I've learned. And, there are things that I don't share with the general public because number one, it's not their business. But number two, we all have enemies. I don't always, need people to know all my shit and use it against me. There's a lot of things that I keep to myself, but it has, you could say it's made me stronger, maybe, some people say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but that's not always the case neither. That's not always the case, okay? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't know if that's a religious term or not. I don't know, but that's not always true. There are people who go through really traumatic shit and it doesn't kill them. But they are so traumatized that they are a shell of themselves, okay? Their spirit is called, I think it's called susto in Mexican, the guanderas, which are like the female shamans in Mexico. I think that susto is the type of trauma that causes you to leave your body, right? This happened to my grandmother. When my grandmother was like, she was very into, oh, sorry. See, I'm getting a text message right now, adding to the shit that I'm already dealing with. My grandmother was very, she liked things to be really clean. She was, Southern belle. Hair had to be done, and my grandmother didn't really have any health problems, but all of a sudden her legs started hurting. She went to the hospital. They told her she had a circulation problem and that they had to amputate her legs. Now, my grandmother was not diabetic or anything like that. But when they amputated my grandmother's legs and she could not be at home anymore in her own house, and she had to now be in a home, my grandmother's spirit left her body, okay? She was not the same person. prior to that, my grandmother was always super excited to see my brother and I, especially my brother. She had a real soft spot for him, but she loved both of us. And I feel like she loved us probably more than her own kids, okay? Every time my grandmother saw us, could cry. Okay. Every time my grandmother saw us, it was like she would light up. Once they took her legs, it was like she was a different person, okay? When she then didn't want to talk to anybody, nobody. My brother and I would come see her, and she didn't even care. She wouldn't say anything. She wouldn't look at us. It was like she had no voice. She had nothing to say to anybody. She was not the same person. And then a year later, she died, okay? So taking her legs didn't kill her, but it took her spirit. And that can happen to people, okay? That definitely can happen to people. People who might be you might go to war and see things and experience things that are so traumatic, they are never the same, okay? That shit is real. Now, when I talk about dances of the African diaspora, and people think, I don't know if people think I'm joking. I don't know if they really listen to the shit that I'm saying. But, I talk about I studied Haitian folkloric dance for years, right? I studied Haitian folkloric dance for years. And when the earthquake happened in 2010, which really touched me, okay, I'm not Haitian, but I have a lot of Haitian friends, a lot of people that I really care about who are Haitian. And when that earthquake happened, that shit disturbed me. Like I couldn't sleep, And so I remember we did a fundraiser for Haiti a week after the earthquake. And the woman who ran my dance company, her sister was trapped under a house in a part of Haiti that nobody was going to. So she knew her sister wasn't dead, but she knew she was going to die because nobody was going to go save her. All the musicians lost a whole bunch of family members. And I remember, when we did the performance and we did the Dance of the Dead, Banda. Banda is one of my favorite dances. Banda is a super erotic dance, okay? And it's a dance of the dead that they do around Halloween. And it's a dance that's done for the dead, okay? New Orleans also dances for the dead. New Orleans will have cutouts of the dead people and doing all freaky dances all over the cutout of a dead body. A lot of people can say, how could you do that at death? How could you dance at death? How could you be doing a sexual dance at death? And the reason is because there's multiple reasons. The dancing helps to shake off the trauma so that we don't hold on to it, because trauma can affect us. Plus, at death, if you don't learn to let the spirits go, like if you mourn too hard and you're holding on to it and you can't believe this happened, that spirit can't rest in peace. Which is another thing that people say about Nipsey Hussle, the readers. They say that he is not okay, because when somebody is murdered, and that's the thing that's so crazy. When if somebody is murdered, they're not going to be at peace, especially when they have kids in the family and that they were looking forward to raising and cared about. How could that person be at peace? And then, a lot of times the family members can't let go. So the reason for dancing at death and doing this is to let it go, right? To not let it sit on you. And also because sex and death are part of the cycles of life. We are all here because our parents had sex, right? We live and we die. And if we come back because somebody had sex. You live and you die. They're part of the cycles of life, okay? These are the things that patriarchal religion doesn't talk about, do they? They say sex is a sin. We need to be ashamed of sex. And then you live and you die and you go to heaven or you go to hell, right? That's what patriarchal religions, I don't know what Judaism and Islam teaches. I don't know, but I know Christianity teaches that. I do know that patriarchal religions don't talk about the sex, death, life cycle. And so I always say in Brazil, right now I'm in Colombia, right? And one of the reasons, what really brought me to Colombia in the first place, is the fact, what really made me interested to begin with is the fact that I'm interested in studying Afro-Colombian dances. And I've studied Afro-Brazilian stuff, Afro-Puerto Rican, Afro-Cuban, Afro-Dominican, Haitian, stuff, Afro-American. There's a lot of Afro-American things that I don't know enough about. You got Chicago step, you got Lindy Hop and Lindy Hop and swing, which comes from Harlem. There's a lot of different Afro-American dance styles. You got tap, you got twerking, you got New Orleans bounce, you got New Orleans second line. So Afro-Americans also have a lot of our own traditions. And so I study, I'm a serious student of dances of the African diaspora, and I always will be. But dancing has been a form of medicine for us. And in the places where slavery was the harshest, but slavery was harsh everywhere, but it was more harsh in Brazil, Haiti, and Jamaica had the harshest systems of slavery. And in those countries, you see a lot of gyrating, a lot of shaking, but it's not just there. Peru, Colombia, like all of us shake and gyrate, right? And then people, even Black people, who should be ashamed of themselves, act like a Black woman's disrespecting herself because she's shaking and gyrating. But you know what? That's because the patriarchal religion that taught you that taught you sexual stuff is shameful. But the shaking and gyrating it has a sexual side to it, but that's not all. It feels good to do that. Like I said, it resets the person's energy fields. It helps them to shake it off. People talk about dust my shoulder off, shaking shit off, physically shaking your body, okay? It has medicinal properties, and I know because it has worked for me. The whole reason why I got into pole dance was after something really fucking traumatic that happened to me, okay? And I got into pole dance to try to put my mind on something else and to challenge my body and to overcome this. Because if I'm really focused on these hard pole moves, that I'm focused on, I need to climb the pole, and I'm really focused on that, then I can't focus on the fucked up shit. You know what I'm saying? So there is medicine in that. My friends who I know who be going through shit, like one of my really good friends, he's been going through some shit. I kept telling him, go to the gym and work out. I know that you're in a bad mood and you're stressed out, but I promise you, going to the gym will help, okay? And so for me, it helps me a lot. And that's one of the reasons why, since I moved to Chicago 2 years ago, I've been even more on my workout. There are days where I feel like, oh, I can't take this anymore. And I go work out, and it at least helps me to clear my mind. It doesn't always, bring a solution. But sometimes people have real life shit they got to deal with. Real life shit. And if somebody has, medical conditions and they really need care and they can't afford it, or they're about to lose their house because they can't afford to pay for medical care, or those are real life things that you can't just tell somebody, oh, don't stress. If somebody is about to be homeless because of that shit, you can't just say, oh, don't stress. Or somebody lost their job and they're about to lose their home. And you're like, oh, don't stress. That's easy to fucking say. But are you going to fucking pay my rent so I don't lose my house? No. You know what I'm saying? So for me, one thing that helps to keep me sane is that, I always think about how things could be worse. And they could be. Always think about how things could be worse. I always focus on being thankful. All the reasons I have to be thankful. And a lot of times I feel guilty for even complaining because there are people in worse situations. That is true. And so that is why I don't complain a lot. I really don't. But everybody has their breaking point. And for me, but of course, if people don't know me, you wouldn't know this. If I am saying that, I'm super stressed, fighting being depressed, that is because, this is after I have implemented all the things that I implement, okay? All the things that I implement to keep myself sane. And still, I have to deal with these harsh realities that are real. And I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. And I'm thinking about it so much that I'm just because I have to find a solution. I can't run from it. I can't just say, okay, I'm not going to think about it at all. Because that's not going to make it better. That you can't just ignore a situation either, So for me, when I get to that place, and I don't get upset easily, I don't stay upset, for a long time. Because at the end of the day, I feel like, what can you do about it? All I can do is do my best. What can I do about it? But telling somebody, oh, don't feel that way, don't be that way. You can't tell people how to feel. What you can do is listen, be supportive, but don't dictate to people how they should feel. And then if somebody asks you, please don't say that, because the one thing I know is that people who know me, when I speak to my best friends, and this is why I don't like meeting new people, I I like to talk to, like, sometimes people on social media, and I say that sometimes, like, I don't want to be on social media. Like, there are plenty of times I have wanted to delete my Facebook, wanted to delete my Instagram, plenty of times. But I can't do that because I work for myself, okay? So I am my business. So I can't just get off social media. That's not possible for me. And sometimes, there's pros and cons to everything. Because I work for myself, I can move how I want to move. Now, right now I'm in Colombia. Maybe if I work for somebody, I couldn't be here for 2 weeks, but I am because I control how I move. That's the pro of working for myself, The con is I never have a sick day. Now, I've been working for myself for 13 years. Never have a sick day. So even if people see me here, like, I'm not on vacation in Colombia, okay? Actually, and I don't want to talk about my personal shit too much, but I actually had to have surgery, and not cosmetic surgery. And it's something that I will share in a video on my other page, The Body Scientist 81, because I want to talk about medical care in Colombia, because actually it's very good, surprisingly good. My experience here has been very good. I think better than it would have been in the United States. And so I want to talk about that. But, the situation was kind of traumatic, and just the things that happened to deal with that. And what was I about to say? I had a point, damn it. What was my point? Damn, I just lost my train of thought. I've been trying to say so many things. Oh, yeah. Like, when I move around, I don't have any sick days, If I get hurt, there are times in my life when especially working in the fitness industry. I remember one time I stabbed myself in the hand by accident, and my hand was all fucked up. For about a month, I didn't make any money because I need my body. When I say my body is my business, I mean that. I mean that it has a double meaning. It means it on the one hand of mind your motherfucking business because this is my body and I'll do what I want with it, right? I don't need anybody's permission. So it means that, but it also means that everything I do, every way that I make money has to do with my body, okay? So as a fitness professional, even when I'm not teaching pole dance classes right now, but when I was teaching pole or teaching fitness classes, you can't have a headache or a migraine. You can't, if I injure my back or my shoulder and now I can't climb the pole, I can't teach. And you have no security in that industry. They don't give you, even if you injure yourself at work, we have no sick days, no leave, no unemployment, no severance packages. We don't have any of that. And even though we are healthcare workers, we don't have that shit. You know what I'm saying? My mom is a union organizer. I've seen her, I grew up with a mother who was a union organizer, so I grew up with really good benefits. And, she had vacation days, and I've seen her fight for workers to get their jobs back. I've never had anything like that. There is no security in any kind of way, okay? And there are times that I wish I had gone a different path, a different route. We all need a break sometimes. And people can say to me, oh, take a break. But when you work for yourself, you can't take a break, okay? I mean, unless you're just balling like that. You might work for yourself and have tons of money, like fucking Diddy or something. Diddy works for himself. He got so much money. Or fucking Kanye having a nervous breakdown on stage. There are plenty of times I've wanted to have a fucking emotional breakdown, a nervous breakdown, but I can't afford to do that shit. Because if I do that, then my bills don't get paid. So I have to keep going, no matter what the fuck is happening. And that can drive somebody crazy. And if I take a break, then I come back to more shit. People mad at me because I haven't responded to them fast enough. I'm always super behind in my work. That's also the reason why I don't have time for small talk. A lot of people want to fucking talk to me about nothing, and then they get an attitude when I can't talk to you about this shit. If you're not talking about money, I don't have time. If you're not talking about money, or you are not somebody who's important to me, or somebody who I might be considering being in a relationship with, because dating and all that stuff also takes up time, and I hate the whole process of dating and getting to know people. I really fucking do, because all that shit is time consuming, and time is money, and time is money when you are a business person who works for yourself. As crazy as Dame Dash is, Harlem World, he's a Harlem native, Diddy's a Harlem native, I'm from Harlem, it's money making Manhattan, we know how to hustle. And it's like, you know, a lot of people, if you haven't worked for yourself, you don't understand that shit. You don't understand that time is money. That people who work for themselves, we always have work to do. Like I was listening to Chris Rock. He was talking about the difference between having a job and having a career. And how people that have a career, because he was saying that what he has is a career. And people that have a career, they're always like, damn, I have to get home and work on this project. Like they always are thinking about the work they have to do. But when you have a job, you go to work for these 8 hours or whatever amount of hours, and when you're done, you're done. That's it. And that's maybe there's certain kind of jobs that have to take the work home. But most people, they go to work, they leave work at work. When they're done, they're off. That's not my life. And that's the reason why I never liked it when I be around people and they like, oh, you're always on your phone. Yeah, I'm on my phone because that's how the fuck I make money. Like, when people email me, there could be somebody emailing me that wants to do an evaluation with me, or they want to buy eggs from me, and I don't answer them fast enough, I might answer them the next day. They wanted to spend money yesterday, but because I didn't answer them fast enough, now they spent the money. They changed their mind. So it's like you're always chasing money. There's potential stuff out here. People flake on you. They don't pay you on time. Or you have different issues you have to troubleshoot with. Oh, I have an issue with my PayPal account, but that's the only way I can accept international payments. Now I have to figure out how I'm going to do this, and I'm spending all these hours. So it's like, and I don't have a team. I am my business, you know? And even if you do have a team, you still got work to do because you have to manage your team and pay attention to what they're doing and look over their shoulder. So the people who have never worked for themselves don't know shit about that, you know? And they think that it's glamorous. Like a lot of people in theory want to work for themselves, but a lot of people ain't about that life. They just ain't. They're not willing to do all that. And, you know, like there are times when I've been in dance classes and I'm checking my phone and my teacher is like, you're always on your phone. Yeah, because that's how I have a look at this phone so that money comes so I can pay to go to this class. Right? So I don't really have the patience for people saying that because they don't understand that, right? So really, I just feel, I'm saying all this to say that I feel like a lot of people are not good at putting themselves in other people's shoes, thinking before they speak, understanding that you don't know everything. And when somebody, especially somebody like myself, because I'm not quick to complain, okay? I'm not quick to complain at all. You know, there are things that have happened to me that I do want to share one day because I feel like a lot of people can learn from the situation. But some of it I don't even want to talk about until I completely overcome it, you know, because there are traumatic things that have happened to me that, like, I'm not letting it destroy me, but at the same time, I'm not 100% okay, you know, like, but you have to put on this face and act like it because what are you going to do? You can't sit around acting miserable all the time, especially when you run a business. Nobody wants to see somebody who's always sad and always like, oh, I have this problem, woe is me. People don't want to see that. So people have to put on the happy face and be professional and suck their shit up. That's the one thing I will say about Wendy Williams. A lot of people criticize her and have a problem with her or whatever. But one thing about her I will say is that she's very professional. And she has she embodies the show business term, the show must go on, right? Which Kanye did an awful job of doing when he had an emotional breakdown on stage and walked off and canceled all his shows. Nobody does that in the history of show business. People don't care about your fucking problems. The show must go on. You know what I'm saying? Like Kanye, you had Beyonce who had a miscarriage, you know, that nobody even knew about. And then when she got pregnant with Blue, you know, Blue Ivy, they're telling her she was on a tour. And as a woman, you're told to calm down, sit down, chill the fuck out. Well, we all know how Beyonce performs. We all know that she is on 10. So for her to have suffered a miscarriage already, and then to find out that she's pregnant again, and she's on a tour, dancing hard as fuck, that's scary. Because you don't want to have another miscarriage, but at the same time, the show must go on. And then, you know, looking at Beyonce's Netflix documentary, where she talks about with her twins, you know, her one twin's heart stopped beating. She had to go into emergency C-section. She was 214 pounds. She had preeclampsia, hypertension, and like something else. She had a lot of complications, right? But none of us knew that. Because the show must go on. We never saw Beyonce complain. You never saw Beyonce's shows slack because of it. Because that's what we know. And so whatever the fuck Wendy Williams is going through in her personal life, she's doing an excellent job hosting her show. Excellent. Because the show must go on. That's what it is. You know? So just because somebody seems fine to you or they're putting on an excellent performance doesn't mean that they're okay. And so if that person then says, like, you know, and everything has to be put into context. Because sometimes for rich people, I don't always have the same sympathy for them because I'm like, if you're really, really rich, you can afford to take a break. Like you can literally afford to say, I'm not going to do anything for a year. I'm not going to do anything for several months because you have the money to do that. For poor people, they can't afford that shit. They have to keep on working no matter what, okay? All kinds of traumatic things can happen. Like you have a mother with 5 kids, one of her kids dies. She can't sit in the bed and cry because she has 4 other kids to take care of. You know, the show must go on. But that can put a lot on somebody. So if that mother has a day where she's like, I feel like I'm losing my mind because I don't have time for myself. I don't even have time to mourn my child because I have to take care of these other 4 kids. And maybe she did that for a while, but she has a day where she's like, I just can't take it. And somebody says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, or don't be stressed. That's not the thing to say at that time. What you can say is, you know, I'm sorry to hear that, like, you know, and do what you can if there's anything that you can do to help support her. Sometimes you can't do anything, and that's fine too. But it makes somebody feel guilty for feeling the way they feel when you tell them, don't be stressed, don't be this. You can't tell somebody how to be. You can't tell somebody how to feel. That is negating their feelings, okay? That is negating their feelings. And when somebody, has done all they could do to be sane and try to, be okay, and then they say right now, I'm not okay. And you say to them, don't feel like that. Like to me, that's just an example of not doing a good job of shape shifting, not thinking before you speak. And it's also crossing boundaries when somebody says to you, like, like if they say, please don't say that, please, that's not what I need right now. And that's not helpful. If that person says that to you and then you continue to do that, you're crossing boundaries, It's crossing boundaries. And I know people who barely know me, okay? It's happened a lot in the past few days. People who barely know me who might have said to me, like, oh, how are you? And I'm like, I'm not good because I'm really, and I don't necessarily want to talk about my personal business, but I'm just answering the question. You asked me a question. You asked me how I'm doing. I'm saying I'm not doing great right now. And if I say that to people who really know me, they wouldn't say that because they know me and they know all the things I've been through and go through. So they know I'm not a crybaby. They know I'm not somebody who easily just, is getting all woe is me. So they know if she's saying that, then it's bad, And so I can say it to somebody who doesn't really know me. And then they're like trying to be in my business. Like, I want to tell you what the fuck I'm going through right now. But just respecting that I said, I'm not okay, fall the fuck back. But there are people who act like they're entitled to know. And then they're like this one dude who had to curse him the fuck out because he's somebody that, I met once in New York. And I don't even like him like that, because I don't want to be mean to people. I hung out with this dude one time in December. I don't ever text him. I never, check for him. I'm not interested in seeing him again. I'm not attracted to him. I really don't care. But I'm not mean. Also, but I'm not leading him on either. Like, I never reach out to him. I never say, I want to see you. Every time I would come to New York, he would be like, oh, I hope I see you this time. And he never would see me. I never made any effort. And so he jumps into my business and starts saying, well, I'm trying to help. I'm like, first of all, I'm not asking you for your help. Like, I'm not. I don't want to talk to you about, whatever it is I'm going through. You can't keep crying and act like I have to tell you. And because I don't want to tell you, now you're saying, oh, but I'm trying to help. And then you're saying little things to me, whatever the fuck, stupid ass shit. And I'm telling you, it is It's crossing boundaries. Don't do that. Because I would never do that to somebody, And that's because I'm an empathetic person, and I'm good at putting myself in other people's shoes. I know that there's a lot of things that can be unsaid that you don't know about. Okay? But sometimes you have to just respect what people say. Don't dictate to them how they should feel and how they should react to something. Seriously. Because I know with me, crossing my boundaries is something that will cause me to curse you the fuck out, will cause me to block you and never speak to you again, because it's unnecessary and it's rude. And then people act like I'm the rude one. No, you are the rude one. Fall the fuck back, okay? That's it. Now, there's a lot of things that I want to say in this video, and I hope I said them all, because, a lot of times I know I can be long-winded. It is important for us to have ways to deal with stressful situations. It is, okay? Because it's not true that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Some things that doesn't kill you really can traumatize you and fuck up your spirit. So it is important to have ways to transform energy. And, of course, good sex can be healing and help people. Dancing for me does it, working out, all those things. But then there are the times when that may not be enough at the moment, And when it's not enough, that's when shit's really bad. And that person doesn't want to be guilt-tripped about feeling how they feel or being made to feel guilty because they feel how they feel, So these are just things that I'm saying, like, it's important to use your critical thinking skills. I think a lot of people just recite what they have been taught to recite. And a lot of that is based in religion and in church. Hold on a minute. Okay. Yeah. Anyhow. I think that even when it comes to relationships and love and sex, people who are raised religious, religion dictates a lot of that. Even when they say, oh, I'm not religious anymore, but a lot of times they still are affected. Like there's remnants of it that are still affecting, how they think about things and things they say. And I always say that religion kills your critical thinking skills, okay? A lot of people, most people who have been raised religious, they lack critical thinking skills. And you hear me talk about this all the time. Critical thinking skills are really important. It's important to look at things from all situations, to try to put yourself in that person's shoes, think about all the different situations that can happen. Because if somebody says that they're really stressed, you might think it's not that big of a deal. But you have no fucking idea what they're going through. They could have just been told they have a brain tumor, They could have been told they have, a bunch of brain tumors, or that all kinds of awful shit that could have happened that you don't know about. And that's also why I always thought that being jealous of people was pointless, because I'm like, you can see a beautiful person, a beautiful woman walking down the street and be jealous of that woman, but you don't know what the fuck she is going through. You have no idea. She might have had cancer and lost her fertility, all kinds of things. You don't know. You don't know. And so to just make assumptions like you do is wrong. And when you know you don't know, don't say shit like that. So, that's it. I think I have made my point. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at _Renaissance_81. And if you don't follow me on YouTube, you can follow me at the Renaissance Amazon. And on my other YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81, I will be doing a video soon, maybe tomorrow. I wanted to do more videos today, but I lost my light. As you can see, it's getting dark. I do want to do a video talking about the healthcare and medical treatment in Colombia and my experience with that. So have a good day. Thanks for listening. And anybody who is writing dumbass disrespectful comments on my YouTube, you will get blocked. Okay. Have a good day. Bye. Stay sane, people.